Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is just a quick video. Uh, Something to do with the Singapore's defense minister's comments towards United States. Where if you read this tweet by how do you pronounce this? Agnaud Bertrand, that he says that he quoted that despite the assurance that the Quad and AUKUS aren't focused on any one country, I think the more initiative will conclude otherwise. US focus on China will make it lose the kind of moral legitimacy that it used to have. And then he commented that no, Singapore is traditionally considered a US ally, and the fact that the defense minister speaks so bluntly against US strategy in Asia goes to illustrate how resented it is in the region. However, before I jump into sharing my opinion about do we really resent, because I'm Singaporean, right? So do we really resent US US presence? So let's look at this portion where he quoted. So, at the same time, a very much China-dominated regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement for the Asian countries with a trade volume of 2.6 trillion was signed. And I think that is the issue. To situate American presence in Asia solely on Taiwan, it is slightly more difficult proposition. It is not communism. You have a one China policy, and many of us have a one China policy. So basically, this looks like the transcript of the defense minister Dr. Ng Eng Hen's words. So globally, there is only one China recognized in the UN. So I will exercise some caution with that. And let me answer your question. I think the US increasing their military presence in Asia as a stabilizing force is virtuous. It is good, and we will support that. We think that the US should do more to engage as it did previously to build an economic framework which as a tide can lift all boats, and be careful on Taiwan. I think you're doing quite a lot in the military front. The Quad, the AUKUS, despite the assurance that it is not focused on any one country, I think the more initiated would conclude otherwise that it is. It is a response to a certain aspect, and China will respond. So interesting thing is that he did not mention China first. He said that no, it's not focused on any one country, but concluded otherwise, and he immediately said China will respond. So basically, Singapore is putting out a position that we know all these are meant to target China, and China will respond as it did after the 20th National Party Congress. It will respond as in a new composition of the Central Military Commission. Some liken it as a war cabinet. I suppose there is some basis in that. The question I am posing is, Americans' presence in the Indo-Pacific primarily premised on security grounds adequate, and will it give you the kind of moral legitimacy that you had from the 1960s to the year 2000? So first, I want to answer this part by Arnold. He said that the fact that the defense minister speaks so bluntly against the US strategy in Asia goes to illustrate how resented it is in the region. Literally in the article, the defense minister said that the US military presence in Asia as a stabilizing force is virtuous, it is good, and we will support that. So this technically already said that basically denies the fact that US is not resented in the region. And I can tell you for a fact that it is not. The Southeast Asia actually appreciates a US presence because it is acting as a good stabilizing or balancing force against China's presence. China is much nearer to us, and for China being so near to us and have a military strength that is bigger than the entire Southeast Asia combined, having United States in the region definitely is a good balancing factor, because United States do not have a history of invading or bombing Southeast Asia. So we Southeast Asian countries do not view the United States like the Arabs or or the Persians. So we do not have that kind of stigma in that sense. There are of course a lot of people don't really like Americans because they are Muslims, because they are more in tune with what's happening in the Middle East. But generally speaking, in terms of a government level, the Southeast Asian countries actually appreciate having US around, because that will actually ensure that war do not break out. The problem what Singapore is talking about here, the Singapore minister is talking about here, is that the geopolitical strategy that the US is now taking is literally all military. The Quad AUKUS is all military framework or military alliances. So you see, you are doing quite a lot in the military front, and all these are military movements and actions, which means that it begets military response, which is why the minister actually say that China responded by creating a new composition in the Central Military Commission. Basically, China is preparing for war against United States, because United States actions have actually heightened tension with China, because the Quad and AUKUS are all military alliances or military arrangements, which obviously the target is China, and China will have to prepare. No, this is prepare, not say that they want to go to war, but prepare because it's due diligence. They have to do it so that war is more unlikely to happen. You have to understand that the less prepared you are, the more likely war will happen. So now the problem is Singapore being a strong friend with both sides, and we also have very good relationship with United States, and Singapore wants to maintain the status quo in the region. But for the United States, they are not putting enough weight in terms of the economic front. United States is not having, the industrial and commercial presence or the investment in the region is waning. To not invest in the region and to not trade more with the region means that the countries here will start to have to turn towards China, because China is investing a lot in the region, and that makes it politically difficult for the Southeast Asian country to side with the US, because the US is not invested in the region. So the only investedness of the United States is military, and even you talk about military, the Quad is not Southeast Asia, is actually Japan, India. So and then you have AUKUS, which is Australia. Southeast Asia is feeling very uncomfortable. Similarly, for Singapore, we are feeling very uncomfortable, because we are not feeling the United States is doing enough to strengthen its position in the region, and it makes negotiation and discussion among the Southeast Asian countries very difficult, because China is an undeniable either threat or power or influence in the region, and with its military strength getting stronger and stronger, the Southeast Asia cannot really exactly ignore it, especially with China having military bases in the middle of South China Sea, which you might have missed the video on the video that I actually show all the different islands in the Spratlys and then the Paracel Islands, how militarized the South China Sea is. Basically, China have a knife right in the back or to the throat of Southeast Asia, and this is not looking really good. The Indonesian defense minister is going around looking for more allies. They're looking for more military partners. They want to train with Malaysia, which is actually a rival, traditional rival. They want to train with India. They want to train with the Arab countries. And he literally just said that China is the main concern why Indonesia is actually ramping up their military effort. So the situation is not good, because the pro-West side, in a way, in the region is in a mess. It's messy, it's not cohesive, and then it was worse because of the Ukraine war, because United States position on the Ukraine war is not supported in Southeast Asia, despite Singapore did initially sanction Russia and so-called side with the West. The very fact that none of the Southeast Asian country actually side with the West, with Indonesia even increasing its trade with Russia, Singapore is in a very difficult position, and we can see it from the United States voting that Singapore has retracted effectively from its initial position because they do not view United States as a trustworthy partner or a partner that can be relied upon, because we can see what USA is also doing to Europe. So things are not looking very good in terms of the pro-West or pro-US position in the Indo-Pacific. So I just want to share a bit of context into all these things, because this looks like not a lot, but actually he said extremely bluntly into what the hell is happening now. United States is extremely poor in the region. The late Lee Kuan Yew, the late previous Prime Minister of Singapore, before he died, a few years before he died, he specially went over to United States and talked to Obama, and he literally told Obama to pivot to Asia, because if you don't pivot, the region will fall to China's sphere of influence. And Obama took the advice. He announced the pivot to Asia. Literally, he just do it, but it's just an announcement. There was no true actions, and within that 2-3 years, China refilled the islands, the land. They reclaimed land on the islands in South China Sea and actually placed missiles on it, built air base, naval base, and Obama did nothing to stop China. And this puts Southeast Asia's view of United States in a very, very dim light, because United States is the only country that could have stopped China from reclaiming those islands and actually build military base, but Obama did not do it, and I resent him for it as well, because he literally created, just by not doing anything, a permanent problem that Southeast Asia will have to deal with for as long as China exists. So this already had given ASEAN, which is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, give ASEAN a lot of food for thought. We are still trying to keep this balance, but United States is not playing ball. United States are only boosting up in the military front, but not on the economic front, not on the social front, and is the sincerity of the United States in the region is being questioned now. And Singapore, being a very powerful and influential country in Southeast Asia, is taking the lead and trying to voice out to United States, since we are also good friends with the United States, that this is a warning. If you do not do anything more, Southeast Asia is going to pivot, and we will, because Southeast Asia do not want war. So, and within Southeast Asia itself, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia are already either pro-China or at least pro-Red, put it that way. So it is no longer very good. Myanmar is already extremely pro-Russia now because it's under the junta rule. They do not really trust China a lot, but they are in decent relationship with China. So that is already 4 countries out of the 10 or 13 countries. So what is left? Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, East Timor. And East Timor is pointless to talk about because they are too small. Philippines is basically still, we have US military bases over there. Indonesia is definitely, because Indonesia is not just any country. Indonesia is one of the most populous country in the world. It is a sleeping giant. Indonesia could but maybe one day become really powerful given the strength of its population, it can, and it's the size, you know, it is a very huge country, so it have the potential to become a very big power. And as a, in their view, they are a major power, which is also why they will not bow to China that easily, which is why they're building up the military. And Thailand is under de facto military rule in a way. So Thailand is also having very good relationship with China as well. So that left with what? Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia. Malaysia is in leadership transition. Anwar Ibrahim just took over as Prime Minister. He's alright. I think he should be okay. So Singapore, we are pro both. We are friends with both sides. We are neutral, if mostly neutral. So who else? So there's not much countries left. Vietnam is definitely anti-China, but they are also very wary and not try to spoil relationship with China. But they're very good. But they are very close with Russia. So you can, based on this, you know, who is going to side with United States if United States is not going to build relationship with the region furthermore? So, and depending on Singapore alone is not enough. Singapore will not stand alone in Southeast Asia. We will not, because we are too small. We will want to maintain very strong relationship with our neighbors, and if all our neighbors is going to fall towards China, we will. Singapore will pivot to China if that's the case, because we will not stand alone and risk war with our neighbors. So that's it. I just want to share, all this this geopolitical thing over on this issue, because I thought this is very interesting, and it's not very often that you see Singapore politicians making very good comments on the geopolitical terms. And so Ng Eng Hen is one of the, in my opinion, one of the better ministers. So his words are wise, and I'm glad that he's very blunt about this, because we are in unprecedented times. Things are going to look like shit very soon. So it's better to be honest and straightforward. Anyway, I hope you liked this video, and please press the like button if you have not pressed the like button, and also subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this channel, you must subscribe. Must subscribe. And I'll see you in the next update.